It's Wellness Wednesdays. It's Wellness Wednesdays, and I'm fried this Wellness Wednesday. So, apologies in advance. I've been putting it off for a while. I went to the mall on Sunday and got completely wiped out by something, and I've been feeling it ever since. And so, yeah. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the idea of responsibility for social outcomes. And this is something that I've been observing with clients, a trend, especially with autistic people. But it's not exclusive to autistic people. This was just something that correlation is not causation. This is just background. But I want to talk about whose responsibility is for the outcome of a social exchange, and the fact that just because somebody gets upset with you, or just because it doesn't go well, even if it's just a simple misunderstanding, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Okay, that's what it's going to be about today. So if you like this content, help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session. For someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. These sessions inform this content. So it's a whole ecosystem. And then both those get you an invite to our Discord, where party is happening. Discord users are starting to do inspirational quotes of out of context things I've said. The one from today is pretty much, it's not showing, pretty much everyone is expendable because you can hire henchmen. You can pick your own context. It's more fun out of context. But okay. Responsibility for social outcomes. Two things to keep in mind here. We treat a lot of behavior as moral or immoral. We leave out the amoral as well. Most of the decisions we make on a given day do not have a moral charge. I don't care what anyone says. A lot of, people don't necessarily shop where they shop because, this is good for something or not. It's, I can get a ride there and I can afford it. That's it. There's no morality there. It's strictly operational. It's strictly pragmatic. And that's one thing. But the other is you can only control you and what you do. You can't control the other person. And trying to control the other person leads to either, manipulation, which obviously isn't good, or taking too much responsibility for social outcomes, which means you are prone to manipulation and people-pleasing behavior. And that's not, people-pleasing behavior isn't just wanting to make people happy. People-pleasing behavior means you need to make people happy because you're terrified of abandonment or somebody yelling at you or getting abused or something. And my God, this month, wow, it's been a really rough month, but I am definitely no longer a people pleaser, because there's two phrases I know this month mean a criticism of me is to follow. One is, your feelings are valid. Don't take what I say next to give you any other perception. And my thought is, okay, that does not absolve you of responsibility for what you say next. And that suggests to me that you know that you're going to invalidate my feelings with your next breath. And sure enough, yep, there it is. Not the way to handle it. But they tried. They tried my patience. The other one is, I know you've had a rough week, or I know you've had a rough month, or I know you've had a rough day, and I don't mean to add to it, but, and then they proceed to add to it. So, that's the sort of thing where I know I process these things differently from other people. And again, it's not that I don't see them trying. It's just that I only have so much concentration, energy, and bad bandwidth in a day. And I have clients and I have people who rely on me, and I have responsibilities and I have things I need to produce. And these are all realities. And my priorities are really, really rigid right now. And if someone gets in the way of that, I don't mean to run them over, but I often do. And I can be honest that I don't want that, but people have to meet me halfway in terms of accommodations there. I can't just make things an easy landing for people all the time. And so that means I'm going to be the bad guy in certain social outcomes. Now and this is where, okay, what responsibility do you take, right? And I have realized I have to start, if something seems like a bad idea, I have to say no. And that doesn't mean with clients, because obviously, somebody signs up for peer counseling, there's something they need counseling with. They're going to make mistakes. Not everyone's going to work out. That's the nature of the business. But things like streaming and podcasting, and I have been trying to get back into doing other people's content, and it's just been kind of too very much a disaster. I think, I had such a good experience on Heinz's streams that, second Heinz shout out this week. But I had such a good experience. I was like, yeah, I want to do all the streams now, because it was ideal. It was difficult topics, and there was some pushback from the chat, but ultimately the host was respectful. And so even though the chat gets a bit fussy, I'll go back. That's cool. And that has not been my experience on other things. And then, it's that moment in a conversation, you realize this person is not coming at you in good faith. They're going to sandbag you and make you look bad in public the first chance they get. And then I just go into, let's create a paper trail. So if they screw me, I have receipts. And that has been my month. And not everybody, right? Some people have been really, really great, but there have just been, I just feel like I can't choke down one more of these. I know you've had a rough month, but I don't mean to invalidate your feelings. Your feelings are valid, but if I have to choke down one more of those, is going to come back up. I'm going to turn into a rabbit, and if I do, I'm going to try to avoid it, right? Walk away from the email before I'm sure I want to send it. I got to do my responsibility. But even with that, distress tolerance is a limited resource, and sometimes you are going to blah. And even though you can recognize that wasn't your best self, people get pushed too far. And when people push and push and push and push, sometimes you have to push back. And that's not always pleasant. And this is my week. I'm responding. I don't have time to there's emails going back and forth and deadlines and all that stuff. So I'm sending a message to somebody while I'm recording a YouTube video. This has been my week. And so sometimes I'm going to be what? And I talk about the fact that when I'm concentrating and somebody interrupts me, they sometimes get a snarl. And again, I can only take so much responsibility for that, and responsibility is not blame. My responsibility is to try to slow down as much as I can. I have to work, if I don't do sessions, I don't get paid. And I love my clients. I enjoy that work. That's not the issue. It's not them. It's not the sessions. It's not the one-on-one work. It's the stuff surrounding it. And it, I want to be able to do stuff other than the bare minimum, which means getting stressed out and getting overwhelmed sometimes. And if I am constantly taking on all the responsibility for every conversation being nice and P's and Q's, well, I'm going to get nothing done. And, we were talking, I forget, I know this came from song, I don't remember where, but the idea of, problematic people get shit done. That's very true. Sometimes you have to be problematic. Sometimes you have to be the problem. Sometimes you have to tell people something they don't want to hear, knowing they are going to lose it on you. And that's not fun. But people pleasing's worse. And that isn't, this isn't intended to call anybody or make anybody feel bad. This is a process, right? It's you have to find the method that you're comfortable with, or in my case, the best of a lot of bad options. I had a situation recently where I thought people were being nice to me and listening to me. And what it turned into was they were just using my situation to gaslight a guy who was in a similar situation, who was being taken less seriously and being told that, his situation, they were comparing traumas. And I could have sat there. I'm aware I could have just sat there and taken the positive attention. And I tried. I really did. That's not me. I couldn't do it. It felt wrong. And I said, no, this is what I didn't want. I didn't want to be the woman who has it so bad that's used to gaslight a guy who also has a legitimate complaint. Don't compare traumas. Don't talk about who has it worse. Let's just try to accommodate everybody best we can. But that was the wrong answer, and I got slapped down a little bit. And you know what? I don't care, because the guy I was defending appreciated it. And that, even though it was outwardly unpopular, so bad side, the powers that be weren't very happy with me for that one. But that's one downside. But the good side is, one, I stuck to my principles and my ethics and my conscience. And also, the guy appreciated the support. And sometimes you do have to go against the system to back your people, and just do what's right. Because what that means is that people know they can rely on you, and you will do the hard, unpopular thing when you believe it's right. So when you're digging in on something, it's not for clout. I mean, God, I'd be way wealthier if I clout chased. My God. Every time somebody calls me a clout chaser, it's like, right, next. No, you don't know me at all. And a part of what I'm fighting for is you guys, and the people I work with one-on-one, and the people who do get blamed and do get who get scapegoated. And it's very easy to scapegoat an autistic person. It's very easy to scapegoat a person with an anxiety disorder or ADHD because of the processing, right? When it happens at the time, they're like, they lock up and they don't have the response. Whereas I'm so snarky, it's like, wham, I got the line. Years of theater and radio and live television and stand-up. Yes, I am professionally snarky. And I am just so filled with anger, righteous anger, I think, about people who get piled on. People assigning them responsibility for stuff that, social outcomes that were not their fault. And often people's own families do that. So here are my tips for overcoming that idea that you're responsible for every negative social outcome. 1, what were your intentions? What were your motivations? Do you feel like you communicated those intentions accurately? It's a question of what you said and what you did, not what the other person thinks you meant. Because you know what you meant. You know if you meant no harm. And if you meant no harm, then at worst, it is a tactical shift. It's live and learn. You didn't do a bad thing. Don't take responsibility for misunderstandings. Misunderstandings happen between people. If you think you misunderstood somebody, okay, own that. But misunderstandings are no one's fault. They happen. And that's why I am very slow to claim someone's lying, because often it's just a misunderstanding. Most people don't outright lie. Every once in a while you get somebody who does, but most people don't outright lie. And I think we call people liars too much. But everybody also brings their own baggage into a conversation. And it's one thing to understand a person's perspective. It's another thing to take responsibility for that perspective. And it's very hard to actually hear the other person when you're so riddled with guilt and panic because it's, oh my God, I did it again. I screwed up again. I'll never get this right. You're not listening to the other person when you're beating yourself up that way, right? So taking less blame for social outcomes will actually make you have better social outcomes going forward. Because sometimes some people, they either have to respect for boundaries or they have to go. And It's Not Therapy is all about boundaries this week. So if you want more on this, listen to the show. This is like a primer. It wasn't intended that way. I've been promising to do this for a while. But if you have more questions, if you want to sign up for a session just to deal with this, or you want to join our Discord to talk about this further, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Or if you want to sign up for coffee.com, if you want to sign up for a Leanna Care session, don't go through coffee. Some people have said, should I donate through coffee? No, link in the description box below. If you want to sign up, this is to donate sessions for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/Leanna K. Both these give you access to our wild and wonderful Discord. Thanks for watching and be well.